integrated legal management system, which will sift through all government departments, just like we have IFMIS. It helps principal legal advisor to government to know at every stage, at the earliest stage, what government is about to, what kind of arrangements or engagements the government is about to engage, to enter into, and advise appropriately. And therefore, I myself, in a proactive way, propose that I would introduce such a system. But of course, all that will only happen when there is sufficient funding to the Office of the Attorney General. And this, of course, would involve not just the National Treasury, but also the National Assembly in ensuring that the office is properly resourced. But I also want to agree with the Honorable Deputy Speaker that indeed government has lost in cases where, if properly advised and been sought ab initio, that would not have happened. And I think tying to that is the issue raised by the Honorable Kungwa, the Majority Leader, about the abuse of the justice system, but mainly the issue of those lost cases. The lost cases, I think I would myself want to deal with it as a matter that is now over and will not be resuscitating. But it is important that we appreciate that government, just like ordinary citizens, appear before courts as litigants, and should expect that in an adversarial system such as ours, they could either win or lose. But at all times, government should first receive the best available legal advice, especially before contracting. Some of the cases, some of the other smaller cases that government has actually lost has been, in my view, out of negligence, because many of them are either not adequately defended, and some not at all defended, and we find judgments being entered against government on account of either inadequate personnel or inadequate preparation by those charged with defending government positions in court. With regard to the question of abuse of the justice system,
yes, so then
maybe Honorable JB did not get my question. Maybe I could paraphrase it. My question was, and truly what you are saying is true, that some of the cases could have been lost by government because of negligence by officers in the state law office in not defending government properly. And therefore government has been surcharged, or rather as judgments against it that amount to amounts, some that are obscene for some cases. And cumulatively, if you look at all those judgments, I think they're moving close to 1 trillion shillings. And my question was specific, as AG now, knowing, as you say here, there might have been negligence by state law officers in defending government, what do you intend to do? Because we cannot subject the Kenyan people, Kenyan taxpayers, to pay those huge bills out of the negligence of officers in the state law office. So what do you intend to do if you are approved as the AG to make sure that you save on taxpayers' money, not even government money, on those judgments? That was a specific question. I wanted to hear what your intention.
No, on those judgments, if they have been finalized, there is nothing that the Attorney General will do, save to advise that the government settles those that have been finalized. Those that have not been concluded, of course, the Attorney General will take up the matter and apply put the best foot forward in ensuring that government gets the very best out of them. But I'm saying moving forward, not the historical ones, going forward, I think there is need for all government ministries and departments to ensure that they involve the Office of the Attorney General, especially before entering into commercial contracts, because some of them are entered into. The brief that I have is that some of them come to the Office of the Attorney General, and the Attorney General's office looks through them and begins asking, why did you enter into this kind of arrangement? It is obvious that you are going to find yourselves in a mess. Some of them, like the construction case, contracts, you find that maybe some functionary in a ministry may not have been happy about somebody who was awarded the contract, and feel because they come, pushing their way forward and say, terminate this. Obviously, the consequence is that the party that is aggrieved to go to court, and chances are very high in those kind of situations that government will lose. So that's why I'm saying, going forward, it is important that we have a policy understanding that the constitutional mandate of the Office of the Attorney General to be the principal legal advisor is taken seriously by all government ministries and departments, so that we are able to avoid some of these losses that impact on even our economic performance. Of course, with regard to the criminal abuse of the criminal justice system, it's only fair that everybody appreciates that even though the Attorney General coordinates some of the activities within the criminal justice system, criminal prosecutions are undertaken by the DPP. And as you know, in the performance of his functions under Article 157, he is not under the direction or control of any person or authority. But I think working collaboratively, it is fair that in a democratic country, we need to appreciate that people may hold differing opinions from even you as a member of parliament or even you, the Attorney General, but that does not in itself entitle the party that feels that they have weight and power to use the criminal justice system. It is just a matter of discussions and agreeing with people that going forward as a country, let us embrace the divergence of opinions, and it's not a crime. On the pending bills, Honorable Kungwa, the report I have is that a task force had been set up, which came up with a report indicating that the pending legal bills arising out of court judgments currently stand at about 151 billion. Of course, it is a strain on the exchequer, but unfortunately, ministries do not budget or they don't provide for these debts. Yet there are debts which must be settled. Some of them, the smaller ones, which is really the more pitiful situation. You may find that some judgments have been entered against government. Maybe some government driver went and knocked somebody, some citizen somewhere. They went to court, got judgment, and for well over a decade, they have not benefited from those judgments. It's really an unfortunate situation that, in my opinion, should not happen. But I would be advising that they make provision. But of course, the Honorable Kungwa, having been the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, is aware that some of these matters, when they appear before the committee, they don't look very urgent. But I think I would be appealing to Parliament, particularly the National Assembly, to look into some of these matters favorably. The Honorable Opio Wandai, the minority leader and member for Ugunja, raised the issue of the criminal case that was filed against me. I just wish to inform the committee that, through you, Mr. Chairman, that that case was dismissed at no case to answer. In fact, in the judgment, it was described as one built on quicksand. The Attorney General's office, which was, and it's unfortunate, I didn't want to go to this, but I must say it to clear there. The Attorney General's office, which at that time was responsible also for criminal prosecutions, appealed. And it's no, I was not surprised that they were appealing because the case actually originated from them. They knew what it is that were pursuing against me. But again, the appeal was dismissed by the late Honorable Justice Oguk. So nothing really came of it. Vetting by Justice Rengera, it was something which was famously known as radical surgery or surgery by radicals. Unfortunately, when that surgery was happening, I was a happy member for Siakago constituency in 2003, and you needed to come to Bunge to deal with us differently. So I did not have to be taken to him. The Honorable O.P. Wandai, Mr. Chairman, also raised a very pertinent issue about the issues of human rights and democracy. And as you know, if you look at the functions of the Attorney General, one of it is to advise the government on the issue of human rights. In fact, the Department of Justice within the Attorney General's office specifically deals with that issue of advising government on matters of human rights and democracy. And therefore, you can expect that there will be robust engagement with the various arms and various actors. Remember, one of the reports that the President has to deliver to Parliament and Article 132 is one showing what steps the government is taking towards implementing the many values contained in Article 10, which include, among others, human rights and the enforcement and implementation of international treaties. And therefore, when that happens, the President usually is advised from the Attorney General's Office, Department of Justice, on the steps that have been taken. But to go further, it's also to inform the committee that if you look at Article 59 on the establishment of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, one of the issues that commission is charged with is the enforcement of issues to do with human rights. And though it's an independent commission, that commission works in close cooperation with the Office of the Attorney General with regard to matters to do with human rights and democracy. There's a question about Mr. Oduor Ongwen about a position I took in regard to some demonstration that was happening in the university. I can inform the committee that that was approximately 41 years ago. I suspect not very many of us were born, but it's just a matter of expressing a divergent opinion. There had been no formal body at the university since the proscribing of the Nairobi University Students Union, NUSO. And what used to be there was a body that was loosely called SRC, the Students Representative Council. And as the chairman then of the Kenya Law Student Society, I was co-opted into it. In that body, we had debates, very robust debates, and there was some people took the position that we needed to to go to demonstrate. Some of us who are just exiting university were of the contrary view that we didn't think we had the luxury while we are preparing for our exams to join the rest in the streets. And therefore, I'm surprised that Mr. Ongwen thinks that that was betrayal of democratic or anything progressive. I don't know what could have been described as progressive then. I suspect he was not even in the university at that time. He must have had rumors about what happened. But, you know, this is the beauty of our country in a democracy is to allow people to express themselves whichever way they choose. But as the Attorney General, I would defend his right to continue saying that, as much as I continue also saying that it was not progressive. So it's here not, Mr. Chairman, is not something that I think would reflect in any way on my suitability in the office of the Attorney General. Mr. Chairman, the last question was by the member for Kathiani, the Deputy Minority Leader, the Honorable Robert Boy, on the defection of MPs. I think, Mr. Chairman, when we talk about, when you go to Articles 36 and 38 of the Constitution, it becomes quite clear that every person, every adult person is entitled to those rights. And I think we need to appreciate that our Bill of Rights is one of the most progressive and robust in the world. And it is no wonder that given the history, the political history of this country, before the promulgation of the current constitution, we Kenyans felt that there was need to place almost everything without exception in the Bill of Rights.